Lots and lots has happened in the last 4 to 5 years all over the country, and specifically here in the Asheville area. Asheville area has been a hot spot for a while and still is. And so, the market has shifted in the meantime, and I believe what I'm going to be talking about in this video kind of sort of played a role in this market shift, although there's not one reason for it. By the way, I'm going to be talking about that in the different videos, so subscribe if you want to kind of keep up and follow along. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about most common mistakes people make when moving to Asheville, North Carolina, or they may not what you think they are. I covered some mistakes people make in previous videos, and today it's going to be my observations from working with tons of people who decided to relocate to Asheville, to settle in here, to buy properties, and it all kind of turned into one giant mistake. So mistake number one, and let me just kind of set the scene for it, a little story time, if you will. So a lot of people seem to move not just to Asheville, but Asheville area specifically, since I'm talking about it and this channel is about Asheville, because something either bad or significant happened to wherever they are. For example, when COVID hit, a lot of people viewed this area as next best or perfect spot for them to land in or land on. Now, there's a lot of talk with New York and how the political atmosphere in New York City is changing. And I mean, there's tons of memes already from realtors in all over the country how there will be an exodus of people from New York City and people from Florida saying things like welcome to Florida and this and that. So events like this, like COVID or a mayor or a president being elected, kind of push people to seek new places, new experiences in hopes that it'll be a better spot for them. It's kind of like a last straw that pushes them to finally make a move. One big deciding factor for a lot of people during COVID times was ability to work remotely. So that opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of people, and a lot of people made those hasty mistakes or hasty decisions that led to mistakes later on to move to a brand new area, start a new family, get married, move, start from the scratch, get kids in that pursuit of kind of getting back to normal in the new area. And a lot of those decisions were made under a ton of stress. And I mean, let's get real. The last 4 or 5 years, starting from COVID, and for us here in the Asheville area with Helene, it's been one big blur for a lot of people. And so those hasty decisions led to some mistakes when people moved to the brand new area, bought a property in a brand new town with a brand new person or partner because they wanted to start a family. And now 4 or 5 years later, or even a couple years later, we see a lot of divorces. I think it's compounding effect, but stress is probably has to do something with that. People separating, one partner moving away, another one staying, or both are moving, and they're putting houses back on the market. Mistake number 2 comes from people who had Asheville on their radar for a while. They did a lot of due diligence. They knew all along or for a very long time that they wanted to move here. They researched, nothing bad happened, nothing catastrophic happened that kind of pushed them over the edge to finally move here. Story time. Or maybe you don't, but from my experience I see that a lot, how it's kind of close to impossible to build your perfect custom home. You know why? Because while you're building your perfect custom home exactly the way you want, a year later, 6 months later, your taste, your trends, preferences, lifestyle, what you do, how you do it may change. And some of the features of the home that you thought were perfect at that time, it was your dream, also changed and it's not perfect anymore. And so same happens with some people. Again, from my observation, talking to some sellers who regretted moving here, buying properties, buying their dream properties. It happens when people let's say they had a family and then something happened, like they became empty nesters, or they retired, or the family status changed, and they're like, okay, finally we can do whatever we wanted to do, whatever we always wanted to do, whatever we always dreamt about. And they come much later in life when that dream started, and they bought that dream home, just to realize a few months later that they're much older now. The property they always dreamed about and finally got is too hard to manage. It's too hard to get to. The road is too windy. It's too tucked away. Yes, they have views, but they don't have, people around. They don't have their community. Because again, that dream of 10, 20 years ago, it kind of, there's a time and place for everything. And they come here, they finally realize their dream, just to kind of come to the conclusion soon after that it was actually one big mistake. Number 3, and this doesn't always or does not 100% pertain to people who are moving to the area, but also to those who saw a lot of opportunity in this area as an investment area. They wanted to invest in Asheville because, naturally being a tourist destination town, and especially during COVID when everything blew up, a lot of people wanted to become short-term rental owners and invest in the area that way. Well, of course, during COVID, when a lot of people were working remotely and having kids in schools remotely, could, of course, travel and do whatever they want. So a lot of those short-term rentals kind of blew up. And then everyone and their cousin and mother and brother decided to be short-term rental owners. And soon after, when COVID ended, or everyone, or a lot of people went back to kind of normal, so to speak, meaning kids went back to school in person, a lot of jobs went back to in-person work. A lot of these short-term rentals that we got a ton of in the area became vacant, or the vacancy fell, and meaning the income from those short-term rentals also fell. So what would start happening is that we had an oversaturation of short-term rentals here in the area and a lot less demand, just like that. And by the way, I am in the perfect investment property or investment opportunity kind of property. It needs some work, it needs some finishing touches, but it can be a short-term rental. It just needs some TLC quite a bit. So when the market was great for short-term rentals and there was a ton of demand, you could just slap any picture on the wall. You could put some, couches and chairs and some thrift store kind of decoration, and you will make money. But when the market changed and there was a lot less demand, a lot of those hobbyists who decided to be investors and invest in short-term rentals here in the area realized that it takes a lot more to stand out and to actually make income and have income from short-term rentals. And by the way, short-term rentals anywhere in the Asheville area or anywhere else, they take a lot more, not just time, but money. You need a lot more money up front to upfit it, to customize it, to kind of create or add some features that will help you stand out from the crowd, but also an ongoing management. It's not like a long-term rental when where you need some time to find that renter and then kind of as needed management and checking in on that renter. With short-term rentals, it's kind of like a hospitality industry where you have to stay on top of things every time you have a new guest, and you have new guests every few days. And now all these hobbyists who thought that either, it's easy money, it's a great area to invest in, we can just do it passively from the couch of our home somewhere in a different state, we're gonna do it ourselves without hiring a professional, and don't even get me started on that. They are now out of business. And so we see a ton of those properties back on the market. And the numbers that they provide as far as how much they make 0 cents. And so those are the top 3 mistakes that we are seeing personally, working with buyers, sellers, investors, people relocating, retiring, starting new life here in the area. And it really is kind of painful to watch all these clients who many of them turned into friends, kind of be disappointed and having tried to sell their property now that the market shifted, which again, by the way, I'm going to cover in the upcoming video. So subscribe if you want to stay tuned for what's coming on this channel next. And so I encourage everyone to really think twice, if not 3 times. Do your research, not really make decisions based on, something that happened in your area. See how it's gonna go. Do not make a mistake, because moving to the area and maybe checking it out and staying here, maybe renting is one thing, but when you invest your hard-earned money and your soul into a new property, and you envision yourself living here and living happily ever after, it is really hard to watch when people's kind of dreams and hopes shattered and they kind of feel like they have nowhere else to go. If you have any other thoughts, if you have any other examples, or if you do not agree with anything that I said, which again, these are all from my observations working with buyers and sellers and investors, people relocating, put it in the comments and I will catch you on the next one.